Good day and welcome back to another DB Legends video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at the green Burly Fury and discussing just how good he is, my build on him, and essentially, well, to cut a long story short, whether you are going to have a good time using him in PvP. Now Burly is very good, and I do want to preface this by saying that I believe Burly's best team is a powerful opponent's team, not a Saga from the movies team, at least not the way I've built it. I've given him double Zenkai boost, which is really helpful, but in general his kit is not really meleeable with this current team lineup. Not that it's bad, it's just that let's talk about his kit and then we'll talk about what makes Burly and how best to use him. So yeah, Burly's main ability, draws ultimate arts card, Planet Crusher. He restores his own health, his key, he restores his vanishing gauge, he gets plus 30% to critical rate, which is really big. His unique abilities are Power of the Giant Ape, where he has a 90% damage inflicted buff, a 70% damage received buff, and a reduction buff, and a 30% to critical rate for 60 time accounts. So Burly, right off the bat, we can see a 60% critical rate for that first 60 time accounts is very likely possible. And for the, early on into the fight, you can have a very high crit rate. When he enters the battlefield, he'll draw a strike card. He will have plus 80% to damage inflicted, and he will also restore his key by 30. Whenever he basically performs a cover change, or whenever the enemy performs a cover change, I should say, he draws a special arts card next. He restores his key. He has 40% to damage inflicted. He increases his arts card draw speed. He has -5 to his strike arts cost. All good stuff. He also restores, when he's switched to standby, his ally's key, which is something very important that we'll talk about just now. His second passive is cover change against strike arts. When he performs that cover change, he gets health restoration of 15% and key by 30, nullifies unfavorable element factors, reduces the enemy key, and reduces their Dragon Balls. So he's a very good tempo disrupting unit and a tempo setting up unit for yourself. He also applies the following effects to self every time he uses a strike or blast card. He randomly draws one card when you have 3 or fewer. He also restores his key. He has plus 20% to damage inflicted. He has plus 50% key recovery. He nullifies special action cover changes for 5 time accounts. And also, when he is hit, he gets health restoration of 15%, which will reset every time he's switched out. And you'll inflict the enemy with a -1 to card draw speed debuff. Burly also has his green card, which draws a new card when you have 3 or fewer, restores your key by 50%, plus 20% to strike damage, and if he does hit with the opposition, nullifies unfavorable element factors, and also plus 50% to his next arts damage. His big thing is his ultimate attack though. His ultimate attack does damage to the rest of the opposition as well, whilst inflicting them with a damage debuff and destroying all their cards. So to cut a long story short, to really talk about Burly is a hit him hard, hit him fast kind of unit. He, realistically speaking, after 25 time accounts can have a 60% crit rate, which is very big. With that 60% crit rate, he can also apply nullification of unfavorable element factors. He has a ton of key restoration. He restores key when he cover changes. He restores key when he subs out. He restores key when he uses abilities. He restores key when he enters the battlefield. He restores key when the enemy performs a cover change. He restores just a ton of key. Like, he's just a key kind of guy. He restores key on his green card. He restores key on performing strike arts. So he's got a lot of key to throw around. And when you do have a lot of key to throw around, obviously combos are one thing that comes to mind. Being able to combo into the enemy, maintain your abilities and everything. But another thing is he has the ability to really help you against units that tend to nullify or reduce key recovery. He's got a lot of flat key. So whereas you'll see sometimes units will have big key recovery mechanisms, he doesn't have that. And he doesn't have, I gain key recovery of 50%. I think he only has one ability that does that, and that is when he uses his strike arts for the first time. The rest is all flat key, so 30 key, 40 key, 50 key, 20 key, 30 key, all happening when he does certain things. And this is obviously to help with taking on a lot of different units that tend to give you problems with ki. One thing I will say, Broly is not super duper tanky. He's decently tanky, 70% damage reduction. Isn't too bad. His lower level base stats also obviously don't really help him out a ton. He's not got the biggest strike defense. He's not got the biggest. He's got pretty low strike and blast defense, just relatively speaking. But what he does have is that high level burst damage. So Broly's just one of those units where you're going to be taking on a team, and you're going to be able to just get the tempo going, and Broly's going to be able to just kind of roll with it. He's going to be able to really shuck out a lot of moves. He's going to be able to green card into some more moves. He's going to be able to main ability into some more moves. He's going to really be able to just kind of do good damage. As you can see here, he can really get the ball rolling quite nicely, I think, as a unit. I think he's quite a good sparking. His synergy lies with also having other units that hit hard and fast and have high ki recovery. And the reason I say that is because, like, if you pair this guy up with the blue Broly, so the blue Broly that just got his Zenkai, both of them are very, very, very switch in and just go balls to the walls. Ki recovery on strike cards, ki recovery in brief bursts. Like brief bursts of massive ki recovery and tempo. And so what happens is then they're starting to really kind of ramp up. They're starting to really kind of like cause a lot of damage. And this is where I think he has great synergy. Also reduces the substitution time count for a lot of his allies, which is something that's also very impactful. When you reduce your substitution time count, especially when, like I say, you roll with a team that's high burst damage, high heavy burst damage, then you end up having a good time. Because what's happening is now you're going to switch in the blue Broly. He's going to do his thing. He's going to do his burst, his like massive damage explosion. And he's going to really bust out. He's going to look really, really good. And then you can switch back into the green Broly and do it all again. And if you manage to catch your opponent off guard, you can very quickly end fights, which I think is something that's really good. It's something that's obviously it's nice to be able to end fights early, and it's needed sometimes. One thing I will say, just looking at Broly, in all fairness, I think one thing that Broly as a unit is going to face is he is facing a lot of purple units. Like, there are a lot of decent purple units that are out. He also can get shredded by still Ultra Gohan, those type of units. So yeah, it is difficult for Broly in that sense, but I think overall he is still really solid. And yeah, I think ultimately get some good production out of him, get some good numbers out of him, and have a good time. I think ultimately that's a really, really good performance by him. But that's it from me. Let me know what you think of Broly, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.